Hello. Good morning.
Hi.
Welcome.
I wasn't breathing there for a second.
Well, sometimes it takes you a second. I realize this.
Yeah, we need to kind of transition. My brain has been in another headspace for the past hour. I really got into it quick this morning, early this
Sent
morning.
me a text and said, "I'm stuck on a few things. Come rescue me." It's the only way I can get her out. She would sit back there for hours.
I realized what it is.
What is it?
I realized what it is. It's big picture.
Uh,
I was working on Asana, trying to figure out what the big picture for our company is, where we're going.
mm-hmm,
And it's really hard. I'm a very big picture thinker,
mm-hmm,
dreamer,
mm-hmm,
visionary, the whole 9 yards.
mm-hmm.
And it's really hard for me to transition out of big picture into it's just such a happy place, the big picture is. It's really hard to get me just down into the actual reality, the work of, doing the work, like doing the podcast recording. I really just want to stay up really high. So if anybody needs help with a intricate business strategy, just let me know. I'm your girl.
Well, here's the question that will help transition you out of that.
Ooh, I love you.
Did you see who is going to be on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition?
Well, no, I didn't see, but
What did you hear? Who is it? I was shocked. Who is it?
You told me.
I did.
Yeah, yesterday. Next time, save it for the podcast. Martha Stewart.
It's unbelievable.
She's 80, guys. I have a theory.
What is that?
Martha Stewart is the first company to fully employ artificial intelligence. She's a bot.
Wow.
Have I told you that before?
No.
It's a goofy theory. I'm kidding, of course.
You never know. I guess they could keep her alive forever.
I mean, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
I just think it's like she's 80. You told me it's supposed to be a bikini.
Yeah, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so when is this issue dropping?
Usually about now. It's probably in a couple of weeks.
I wonder how sales are going to go. Oh. Who wants to see an 81-year-old on?
There are people out there who...
Oh, weird. Don't go there.
That's what I'm saying.
Back, rap, podcast. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. What do you think? Is that a good thing? Well, I mean, she's done everything else. Why not? Right? Why not? You're 81. You're going to... You've conquered the world of
domesticity.
It's a good one. Domesticity. Why not conquer the sports magazine covers now? I don't know.
Is there any such thing as off-brand anymore?
I don't think so.
Apparently not. What are we here to talk about today, David?
Welcome to the Heart Podcast. We are going to talk about creating a beautiful and functional living space. One of your favorites.
I love this. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
We're going to focus on incorporating high quality design elements, balancing aesthetics and functionality and DIY home decor projects.
I love the word aesthetics.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
It's like aesthetics.
Have to beep part of that one.
Maybe.
It's supposed to be aesthetics.
Aesthetics.
Aesthetics, because it's AE. Aesthetics.
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 Okay.
Let me ask you another question.
Okay.
What makes a room functional for people watching?
First of all, let's start with the higher level.
Okay. Higher than that?
Yeah. What does heart have to do with, what does a beautiful living space have to do with living a life with more heart?
That's a good question that I should have asked you first. Let me ask you this. How does heart apply to creating a functional space?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, David.
Thank you. I mean, I come up with these just from nowhere. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, the turkey is in our pool.
It's okay. Hey, focus. Come on, Martha Stewart.
Where's my phone? I need to take a picture of the turkey in our...
It's okay. Okay.
I thought it was an armadillo at first. Okay. It's important to create... Okay, so heart, really quick, high run through, help yourself, physical well-being, empower yourself, emotional, spiritual, mental well-being, a all your people are resources and responsibilities.
T, trade and
Cre-
talent.
T, trade and talent. Creating a beautiful, functional living space is important in the A and R life segments.
Why?
I literally am like, turkey. It's like instead of a squirrel, it's a
biggest
turkey.
feathery squirrel you've ever seen in your life that is totally distracting. I might have to make you sit
It's
on this side.
Beautiful. You may have, if we're
We have to
going
switch sides.
continue to have turkey problems.
Well, okay. Where were you?
Okay. I was talking about how a beautiful and functional living space is important, first of all, for all your people.
Why?
Home nurtures us. And the environment that we create is not just visual. A lot of times we think about visual decorating, but I like to approach decorating from a 5 senses standpoint. What does it smell like? What does it sound like? What does it taste like? What is it? I mean, if you think about it,
Sure.
we entertain a lot. We have people over. What does the food taste like? I mean, so when you approach decorating from the standpoint of all 5 senses, you really are creating an environment that sets the tone when you have people into your home for this is what this culture is like. And I think that's important because the culture that we're working to create here as a family is also the culture we want to take out into the real world. And so when people come into our home, we want them to also leave with little remnants of that, like pixie dust that they can sprinkle in
like
their
it pops
wake.
in their head when they're driving home or walking home. They're like, did you smell everything? Did you see how everything was just so nice and pleasant and warm and inviting?
They're not going to say that, but normally I think they'll just talk about how it felt. Back to that Maya Angelou quote, people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And when we create a beautiful and functional living space, we're evoking a feeling. We're using all the tools of the 5 senses to create this space that people can experience here, but then take out into the world and leave in their wake like pixie dust.
That's funny. I mean, it's also good for your immediate family because your kids, your spouse, your significant other all feel safe and cared for and all of those things. So that's good.
And then there is also the stewardship factor. So
in what way?
Well, you're managing your resources and responsibilities. You're keeping the roof over your head.
There you go.
Yeah.
Taking care of your stuff. Cool. Coming down a little bit. What makes a room functional? Man, I've heard that question before.
Okay, so a room is functional when it serves its purpose. So the first thing someone needs to do if they're trying to create a beautiful and functional living space is, first of all, we can start with the big picture, but we got to start narrowing down. Pick a room that you're going to focus on. Just pick one room. We are focusing on our dining room right now.
Again.
So for the rest of this podcast, that is the example that we are going to use.
Again.
Is the dining room.
Again. Okay.
So the important.
Oh my goodness, it's back.
There's a baby turkey.
Oh my word.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just going to turn this off and we will do this again some other time. I'm completely and totally lost.
We haven't seen the baby turkeys. Oh my gosh.
Podcast
I can't believe I'm doing this. It's so cute.
Scrapped and thrown.
I'm sorry.
Trash pile.
I'm sorry, podcast listeners.
Totally lost.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm going to have to put something over the window. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Bamboo shade would look really nice.
It would look really cute. It would block all that light that comes in when I'm using my laptop camera instead of the other camera.
Yeah. Okay.
We have tears, folks. We have tears on a baby turkey.
Baby anything, guys.
Snakes. Baby snakes.
If Putin would watch baby animal videos, once a day
Mhm.
for like 15 minutes,
Mhm.
the world would be a happier place.
Okay, where were we? We were focusing on the dining room.
Dining room.
What makes a space
We are
functional?
establishing the purpose, the function of the dining room. So let's talk about this.
Okay.
Our dining room.
Yep.
What function does it need to serve?
We do.
Let's talk about the functions.
We do eat in there from time to time. We tend to play any card games, board
Mhm.
games, whatever else
Mhm.
in there with the
Mhm.
kids and guests that come over. Sometimes kids use it for homework or working on projects.
Mhm.
So it's kind of probably the most used dining room in the United States, I would bear to guess.
It's not a big dining room though.
No, but it works. We use it a lot.
We could actually do with a bigger dining room.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, that's see, that's me in big picture. It's just get me down here into like, how are we using this space?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the next thing that anybody has to take into account on making a living space beautiful and functional is budget, because for as much as I would like to blow it out of the water, and I mean, I'd love to have new windows in there whole night. We're just not. This is the third time we're having to redo the dining room, folks. Since we moved in 2020, it makes David very irritated. It's not fun, but it's because of
Sewer line.
the sewer line. So with the functionality, the goals of the room in mind, the functionality of the room becomes our goals. We need it to be a place to eat, play games. I know this sounds funny, but there's a certain amount of storage in there. We display some great grandmother's gold kind of thing. We have a china cabinet. We need it to lighting is another functionality standpoint. What type of lighting do we need in there and when? So keeping all those things in mind is the first step towards creating a beautiful and functional room. We have to start, I guess, in this case, with function over form.
Cool. Can you is that going too deep? Can you overcrowd a room, or should I maybe say something about if it's a room where you entertain or if you're playing games and all this kind of stuff, do you sacrifice some of the pretty tables, cabinets, and such for pretty chairs? Because if you're going to entertain people, they need places to sit, obviously. Will you limit the amount of pretty tables and pretty all this kind of stuff that you put in there for chairs and things? Or will you
I think the answer to what you're asking lies in that age-old debate between form and function. And one of the things that I love doing, it's almost like a game, especially in decor, is if something is ugly, we have a tendency, or not attractive, we have a tendency to want to hide it, shove it into a cabinet. A lot of time, I mean, Americans are just very pragmatic, and we don't stop and take much time to focus on the beauty of something. And I really love, I mean, I know maybe I sound nuts when I talk about leaving pixie dust in our wake, but it's sort of enchanting and charming, and it's a different way to look at things and slow down and find the magic in something. Think about it. Yeah, it might be a little rose-colored glasses-y, I don't know, but one thing, so our photographer was here the other day, Lindsay McClanahan, and she was like, "How is your house so photo shootable?" High compliment. Like, but the answer is actually really simple. It's no plastic and no labels.
What do you mean by this?
If it's plastic, I try to replace it with something else.
Oh, that's actually made of wood or some kind of other
Glass,
natural
or just let's get
glass,
the plastic's not beautiful. It's
No.
it's not. Organic, natural materials are beautiful.
With real color, not
right. So sometimes in this search for function, we go straight to the most practical aspect. I mean, it's what Target's selling. We're going to go buy bins and containers and all this out of polypropylene.
But those are all useful and great, but they don't belong in the middle of a kitchen. They belong in an attic or they belong in a storage facility, something like that.
Yeah, this is true.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So you do
Mhm.
need those things, but you don't
Mhm.
need them in your living room to set a lamp on,
Right, right.
right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Another thing I love about making things beautiful and functional is the challenge well, I just said it's like a puzzle trying to figure out,
Mhm.
what we can use instead of something that is highly labeled, highly branded, or
Mhm.
plastic.
Mhm.
A lot of times that forces us to be resourceful, which I think resourceful is just another word for creativity.
Mhm.
And when we're forced to use our creativity, we're gonna come up with some novel solutions.
Mhm.
And one of those is actually repurposing old stuff. And old stuff tends to be solid wood and organic.
Totes. They don't build it like that anymore.
They don't make it like they
And
used
it's like
to.
Mimi says, that's good furniture. When you pick it up and it's
Oh, we
heavy and
have
it's made of
so
wood,
many stories.
Mimi says that's good furniture.
Solid wood
Solid wood,
furniture.
right? With dovetail drawers, or
It almost doesn't even
something like that.
matter if the lines kinda need to be good,
Mhm.
but it almost doesn't even matter because if it's solid wood, you can
Mhm.
refinish it or you
Mhm.
can paint it,
Mhm.
which I know that sounds complicated, but really it's not hard to do that stuff at
Mm-mm.
all.
Mm-mm.
There's enough YouTube videos out there to
Mhm.
skin a cat.
Mhm. Mhm. That's true. It's a good transition. What uh, what constitutes a high quality design element? Probably some of what you just said, but are there
Mhm.
other things that?
Well, I would say rule number 1 is it needs to be well made. It needs to be quality in the first place.
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of fall apart furniture. I mean,
Mm-mm.
IKEA, Target, it serves a purpose,
Mhm.
but it ends up in a landfill
Mhm.
really quickly.
Mhm.
It's just not good for the environment.
Mhm.
I'm not a fan. The and it's huge. It's just tragic.
Mhm.
The next thing number 2 would be so quality is important. Look for things that are solid wood, shop secondhand. There are some things that you have to buy new,
Mhm.
like sofas are kind of one of them, and
Yeah,
that's a big investment
it is.
unless you can find some we've been lucky enough to find some great sofas on Facebook Marketplace, but
Mhm.
you have to be patient, takes
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
The other fun thing is that it ends up costing a lot less.
Mhm. And then you we know the right people to help us get it recovered if it needs to be recovered,
Right.
or
So
slip covered or
building
whatever
an
it is.
arsenal
Yeah.
of building a team of tradesmen and craftsmen
Right.
that right, that's a very important. So quality is first. Thing number 2 to look at would be the lines. And when I say the lines on the piece, I you're gonna kinda have to put on I'm gonna explain this to you because if I can explain it to you, the rest of the world will understand,
Okay.
okay? The lines on the piece need to be good. So when you look at the piece, like say you're shopping for a nightstand, there's short nightstands, squatty nightstands, tall nightstands, wide nightstands, narrow nightstand, all kinds. Those characteristics, those words describe the lines on the piece. So I'm going to try this one on for size. If you look at the piece of furniture and you
Mhm.
have to describe it like a person,
Okay.
you're going to sort of get a feel for the design and the lines of the piece. Now, another way you can do this is you can understand the history of furniture. I need there to be an official name for that.
The history of furniture.
Yeah, I need to know the Latin word for the study of the history of furniture.
Can you combine furniture and historical and do like furnitorical?
We need to ask our children.
Okay. They will probably know it's true.
They know Latin.
That's funny.
Okay. But my mom, Mimi, drug me to every museum possible. I mean, if there was a museum within a 150-mile radius of wherever we were as children, we went there. And so I grew up seeing a lot of old furniture pieces, and my mom would say, that's a Rococo chair, that's a Louis XV, or this is an example of French country. That's all French. But we also went through all the American, what is Adams style? What's Federal style? What's Georgian style?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I understood that. But I also think you can just look at a piece and say, okay, if that thing was a person, how would I describe it? And then you're going to sort of just how we talk about people as tall or short or wide or skinny or whatever. That's going to also sort of indicate to us what that furniture piece does and how it's going to perform in a room. Like if you start to think about your, gathering up people for a dinner party, you're going to think about the personalities. Like who's going to say the interesting thing? Who's going to say the smart, That's what makes a dinner party good is witty conversation and finding that right combination of people. It's just like a room. You need to find that right combination of furniture. And to do that, you've got to look at the lines. And if you're not really familiar with what line or what form is most beautiful, or you're not comfortable making that decision for yourself, just try describing the piece of furniture like a person.
Interesting.
I always
learned
have
something there, America.
Different
whoever's listening.
Yeah,
wherever
America.
you are. That's funny.
I always have a different approach.
Yep. Yeah, that's good stuff. How do you balance, here's that word, aesthetics and function? How do you balance those two?
Well, I want to answer that question
with a question,
but I'm actually thinking that this podcast needs to be a part 2.
Ooh. So that's going to be a cliffhanger. Is that what you're saying?
Tune in next time for more discussion on balancing form and function, which we've already talked about a little bit.
I mean, there was a lot. Just the high level took a lot of time to get from the high level, probably just down to 10,000 feet, 5,000 feet.
But I also want to talk about where you start, what order. Let's say you've decided on a room that you're going to focus on. You've decided on the functionality what are the goals for this space. You have a little bit of an idea of the feeling that you're trying to create. We've talked a little bit about quality. Where do you start? So you kind of, I've just taught you some very high level design 101 type things, but now it's time to get down to the nuts and bolts. And where do you start? Do you do the floor first? Do you paint? Do you order the wallpaper? How do you put a timeline together for this? So I think we need to talk about that in a part 2.
Well, then I guess the appropriate thing to say here is join us next week for creating a beautiful and functional room, part 2. Tell your friends, subscribe, let us know you're out there, send us feedback, share our episodes. We're finally getting our feet underneath us, aren't we, with this podcast thing, I think
we're trying.
And
man, those first couple episodes, skip them.
Yeah.
Don't listen. Just it's bad.
Hit play and let it go for 35 seconds so we get credit for it, and then bail out on it.
Is that what it takes? Is 35 seconds?
I don't know. I know that there's a timeout. Like if they only listen for 20 seconds, you don't get any analytics on that. So, I mean, we appreciate anything you guys can share with us and to help make this better. We would, greatly appreciate you guys sharing it with your friends and family and whoever else. And
send us feedback. Let us know what you want to hear more of.
What you want to talk about. Are we funny? Are we not funny?
Oh my word. That's the only thing he wants to know.
No, I don't. So, okay.
Yes, that's like you just, yeah.
Well, that's it for this week on the Heart Podcast. We will see you for part 2 next week.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. How long did we record?
25 minutes.
Okay, that's great. Because you had intro.